The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Glory to you, Lord. Herod the Tetrarch heard about all that was happening, and he was greatly perplexed because some were saying, John has been raised from the dead. Others were saying, Elijah has appeared. Still others, one of the ancient prophets has arisen. But Herod said, John I beheaded. Who then is this about whom I hear such things? And he kept trying to see him. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus.
The reading from Ecclesiastes is a familiar one, and I suppose it really makes 2 points that you can't deny the fact that it is reasonably true of what the author's saying here, that there's not much new under the sun. You could also surmise that such a person is rather depressed, maybe overworked, not sleeping well, doesn't have good food, and just like, oh God, one more day. We've all felt that, have we not? And yet, on the other hand, it could just as well be a rather clear proof of God, right? There is that song, or at least the verses from the song come from St. Augustine, ever ancient, ever new. How late have I loved you, how late I have awakened or discovered you, finding and seeking all the ways of the world that never really satisfied. What is it in certain people that they live long lives? I mean, there was a gentleman story maybe in the paper, it was in the Free Press, so it's true. 106, and he was still playing golf. So there's some people that live long lives, and they're curious, they can't wait to get up the next day. And there's other people, they hit 30, and they think, they've hit a wall, and life might as well be over. But remember that the primary virtues of our faith are faith, hope, and love. And all three go together. Ever ancient and ever new. Who doesn't enjoy a beautiful sunset, a sunrise? Last evening, 7:30, 7:45, something like that, there was a pretty nice sunset out there. Did anybody notice? Very nice. You don't see too many here. This isn't the wilds of the north, but there was a nice sunset yesterday. And as old as the sun is, don't we think of it as new every day? It's a new day. We wake up, and one way or the other, we look forward to our activities of the day, or we don't. But there's something about the rhythm of the sun and the newness of a day that for the greater majority of people, there's hope. I don't know why it sticks in mind, but I read it really quite some time ago. There's no new water on earth. All the same water that was here millions of years ago is all the same water that's still here now. It goes up, it comes down. It comes down, it goes up. And some people go, well, ew. It's the same water. But look at the newness and the mystery and the intricacies of creation. The rushing of the seas, the sand, the filtration, the evaporation, the cleansing of the water just by the cycle of its going up and down. Surely we can waste water and you get a big water bill. But the reality is God is still renewing and sustaining all that God has created. New babies are always wonderful. Right, Jim?
Yes, sir.
You see, he turned right around. There was something about a new baby. Now, no one really says, oh my God, just one more kid. No, because that kid, as you well are learning, I think it was you, maybe it was Matt, told a story about, I think it was you, the child wasn't taking the nap, so because Jim had to get on the piano and start playing a song while Patty, his wife, was holding the baby, and the baby was just mesmerized. The baby was mesmerized by what? That you were playing the piano, that that box was making noise, or it sounded nice? The curiosity, the interest in life, you see. Isn't that an evidence that things, as Augustine says, always ever ancient and yet always ever new? Even the gospel today, I suppose, maybe even in a philosophical sense, but probably more in a religious sense, we have this reading from Herod. Now, none of us here probably think of Herod as a particularly virtuous person. He could be rather ruthless, and yet notice, he's perplexed. The ages and the eons of time. John I beheaded. Who is this guy? Why is he curious? You could pretty rightly say that his conscience is picking him. His conscience is saying there's something there that I want to know about. You run into people from time to time and they say, well, I'm an atheist. I don't believe in God. And you can pretty easily, debunk that reality. Do you have any hope in your life? What do you love, you see? Because love gives life, and love is built on faith and hope that there's always promise. I'm very aware that people live with depression, people have hard lives, and they can pretty easily give up on God. But God never gave up on Herod. I suspect Herod was just perhaps arrogant. He knew he was in an unrightful relationship with his brother's wife, whom he married, and he just couldn't bring himself to really say yes to God because he knew he was on the wrong side of right, and yet his conscience was there. To me, that says that there's always newness of life. How is it that some people in their anxieties and depressions one day just wake up? Sometimes it's medication, sometimes it's a movement of God. It's a numinous or a liminal awakening experience of the divine. So on the one hand, we can perhaps pray for those who feel the weight and the weariness of life. And on the other hand, we can thank God that every day brings a new sun, even if it's liquid sunshine. So we give thanks and praise to God on this non-obligatory memorial of Saints Cosmas and Damian, brothers, both physicians, and both who courageously served the Lord. Take a notice today, it's kind of waning in the fall season. Things aren't blooming and growing quite the way they were a couple of months ago. But notice something in creation, ever ancient, ever new. What curiosity keeps you going? What keeps you interested? All of us from time to time say, oh my God, just another day. Or it's the same old rhythm. I got to go do something different. I want to see a movie. I want to take a hike. I want to sleep for 5 days, whatever. God is present, ever ancient, ever new. Where we came from is where we're going. Praise be God.